Whether you're wishing upon a star, partying under the sea, or letting it go, it's an accepted truth that Disney's animated films are pure magic. Walt Disney Animation Studios has been creating groundbreaking entertainment for almost 100 years. So let's break down the best of the best. But just a note, we're only talking Disney Studios animated films here. We'll cover Pixar in another list. That said, these are the 25 best Disney animated films ever. 1950s box office smash Cinderella is truly iconic. Working on a tighter initial budget than usual, Disney's animators overcame numerous obstacles and still managed to delight moviegoers with imaginative art, glowing colors, mischievous humor, and memorable songs. Combining the Lewis Carroll books Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, this fun and flashy film, full of popping colors, dreamlike oddities, and trippy characters, has become something of a subversive cult classic among the Disney canon. The Princess and the Frog was the first hand-drawn Disney film in 6 years after the studio embraced computer animation. It harkens back to the studio's golden era with its old-fashioned Bayou charm, even while looking to the future with the first-ever Black Disney princess. With a shared spaghetti string kiss that would become a landmark moment, Lady and the Tramp is a love story that still endures the test of time. As the first animated feature filmed in the CinemaScope widescreen process, the film captivated crowds then, and it still does today. Wreck-It Ralph is ultimately a story about outcasts finding their place in the world and becoming comfortable in their own skin. It's the most pop culture-laced Disney project to date, but it still contains the gorgeous visuals and genuine emotion you'd expect from Disney animation. The last classic animated fairy tale produced by Walt Disney himself, 1959's Sleeping Beauty, is the studio at its most iconic. Filled with vibrant color, modern designs, and music based on the Tchaikovsky ballet, it looks and sounds different than any of the films that came before it. One of the most witty and entertaining Disney films ever, with one of the most memorable villains in cinema history, 101 Dalmatians gave audiences a scrappier, sketchier animation style coupled with a fun family adventure. The film is filled with heart, humor, and humanity. Dogmanity. With a revolutionary visual flow and style that pushed the envelope of the entire medium, plus Academy Award-winning music from Phil Collins, Tarzan is a spirited, thrilling spectacle. The film was a rollicking adventure that capped off the studio's legendary 1990s winning streak. Tangled was Disney's charming take on the German fairy tale Rapunzel. With 3D art inspired by oil-on-canvas Rococo-style paintings, the film is a compelling and complex mix of adventure and romance that brought together both modern and classic elements of Disney. More of an out-and-out comedy than most Disney offerings, The Emperor's New Groove was a slight detour for the studio. It's purposely less grand and epic than most of Disney's offerings, but the film is still a hearty and hip hero's journey filled with unabashed silliness and nonsense. Using amiable anthropomorphic animals to tell the legend of Robin Hood, this offbeat oddball gem from 1973 featured acclaimed folksy songs and a Butch and Sundance buddy movie tone that helped it become, at the time, Disney's highest-grossing film to date. Dumbo, about a lowly circus elephant that's constantly and cruelly ridiculed, stands as one of the most precious and endearing animated films of all time. It's a small story that delivers a giant-sized emotional punch, teaching us it's our differences that define us and make us special. The beautifully crafted Pinocchio features smart aleck silliness and sinister scariness side by side, along with, of course, a nose that grows with each lie and a singing cricket named Jiminy. When You Wish Upon a Star won an Oscar and is still the song most associated with Disney. Bambi is a tale about the loss of innocence, but also about growing up, accepting responsibilities, and learning that you can build a family of your own. The animation is delicate, more fable-like than previous Disney works, but it's all the more potent and emotional for it. The Jungle Book is a lively and hilarious romp with delightful tunes and a sublime story that we'd see echoed a bit later in both The Lion King and Tarzan. The film emits a funky, trippy vibe that's helped it remain a family favorite for 50 years, even more so than some of Disney's more famous prestige projects. With lively and layered characters and awe-worthy 3D animation, Moana is an inspiring and ambitious addition to the best Disney has to offer. The story of the strong-willed daughter of a Polynesian chief who undertakes a mystical adventure, Moana is all heart-and-hand heroism calling for the peoples of the world to embrace their family and community. And who can resist Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the demigod Maui? Hercules mixes the screwball comedy of a bygone Hollywood era with 1990s pop culture beats. It's a rollicking hero's quest about an unlikely do-gooder torn between two worlds that's seasoned with a gospel and R&B inspired score. Featuring a fun blending of pluckiness, fast-paced action, and animation based on English cartoonist Gerald Scarfe, Hercules has memorable songs, an inspired wisecracking villain, and a feisty heroine resistant to being the classic damsel in distress. Frozen does much to play around with the classic Disney elements, subverting expectations along the way to tell a much more modern tale. The overarching love story here isn't about Elsa or Anna finding their prince, but the two sisters rebuilding their fractured relationship. Smartly, the old Disney trope of a prince's kiss breaking a spell is reworked in this story. Only the sisters' love for one another can thaw a frozen heart. In so many ways, Frozen feels like classic Disney, but its story is refreshingly modern. 1998's Mulan took on the tried-and-true Disney coming-of-age story, but with a twist. The title character is essentially Disney Animation's first action heroine, with her driving ambition to bring honor to her family and save her country, shirking romantic responsibilities along the way. Plus, the film's stunning animation and catchy songs made it a standout in a decade loaded with standout Disney animated films. As the first ever full-length animated feature, 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the movie that launched a dynasty. And while it certainly wowed audiences at the time who were still accustomed to short, simplistic cartoons, Snow White still retains its appeal even among the glitzier, flashier animated films of the 21st century. It remains one of Disney's most heartfelt and engaging efforts, transforming the classic Brothers Grimm tale into a rousing, family-friendly adventure. A Disney masterpiece and a milestone in animation as a whole, there is still so much to praise about Fantasia, even now almost 80 years since it was released. The episodic, mostly non-narrative epic is set to various pieces of famous classical music, resulting in sequences like the climactic Night on Bald Mountain that are hallmarks of the genre. Technically peerless, featuring animation that is still among the best ever created, the film was an experiment that has bewildered and dazzled viewers for generations. Disney Animation hit rough times in the 1970s and 80s, but that all changed in 1989 with the release of The Little Mermaid, a return to the glorious musical fantasies of Disney's past. The film had all the qualities of an extravagant Broadway musical and beautiful animation to match, along with instantly classic songs like Part of Your World and Under the Sea. Plus, The Little Mermaid's success would usher in a renaissance for Disney animation that dominated the decade to come. Boasting one of Disney's catchiest soundtracks, plus an iconic performance from Robin Williams as the genie, it's no surprise Aladdin became the highest-grossing film of 1992. An adaptation of the classic folktale from 1001 Nights about a scrappy street rat turned prince, Aladdin actually had quite the troubled production history. And yet, it remains one of the most beloved films from Disney's Renaissance era even today. Beauty and the Beast is a stunning work of art, taking a tale as old as time and spinning it into a timely tale of acceptance that transcends its genre. Bolstered by its gorgeous animation, fantastic voice acting, and Alan Menken and Howard Ashman's music, the film also marked a major shift in how Disney approached its princess tales. Main character Belle is an obvious departure from the days of Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and indeed its impact can still be felt from Mulan to Moana. Beauty and the Beast set a new bar for Disney animation, and it's a standard still felt today. Simba's journey to adulthood, retribution, and his rightful place as the Lion King isn't an especially new or groundbreaking tale. On the contrary, it's full of tried-and-true Disney hallmarks like a tragic origin, comic animal sidekicks, and life lessons learned. And yet, it works amazingly well, perhaps because of the unique vibe of the artist's African landscapes and the percussive beats of composers Elton John and Tim Rice. The film combines traditional concepts with new and interesting angles, and magic is the result. Let's call it the Disney Circle of Life. That's our ranking of the top 25 animated Disney movies of all time, but for more animation magic, check out the 25 best adult cartoons of all time or watch the 10 best Batman animated movies, and be sure to like and subscribe to your IGN platform of choice.